I want to talk a little bit about fish physiology. Physiology is just a fancy word for why their bodies work the way they do, so why their anatomy works for them. Because fish are kind of funky as opposed to some of the other animals we've talked about. They're a completely different group of animals. Some different terminology to be aware of. So ornamental fish are kept for their appearance, typically bright colors and fancy fins, and really their personal appeal to people. They're not usually used for food. Tropical fish are very popular fish for aquariums that come from the warmer regions of the world. Marine fish are fish that are kept in saltwater aquariums, and they're often more colorful than freshwater varieties. And then freshwater fish are fish that are kept in a freshwater tank. Typically, they're the most popular fish for pets. They're easier to keep. Community fish are fish that do well in an aquarium with other fish species, like a community. Examples would include tetras, barbs, catfish, mollies, platies, and swordtails. Species fish do best in an aquarium with fish of the same species or by themselves. Examples of these guys would include the blind cavefish, piranhas, the red-tailed shark, Schomburgk's leaffish, spiny eels, killifish. Killifish are good just with one pair by themselves in an aquarium. And then betas, only one fish in an aquarium. The gonopodium, this is actually a modification of the anal fin into a tube-shaped organ in the male fish that are part of the live-bearing species that provides passage for sperm to enter the oviduct of the female. So live bearers are fish that give birth to live young. Examples would include guppies, mollies, platies, and swordtails. Egg layers are fish that expel eggs from the female that are then fertilized by the male. Examples of egg layers would be tetras, barbs, catfish, and goldfish. Shoals or schools are small communities of fish. Some species prefer to live in schools like the African redfin, catfish, and tetras. Spawning is the reproduction ritual where eggs are deposited and then fertilized by egg-laying species. Scales are thin, bony plates that develop from and are embedded in the dermis, or the skin. Scales overlap each other and provide protection for the fish. The exposed part of the scale is covered with a thin layer of epidermis that provides a slimy mucus, which protects the fish from any waterborne bacteria they might encounter. So fish must maintain proper levels of salt and water in their bodies. So water flows from areas of weak salt concentration to areas of strong salt concentration by osmosis. Freshwater fish do not need to drink water because their body salt concentration is higher than the water itself. Saltwater fish have a lower concentration of salt in their bodies than in the water, so they actually do have to drink water to keep from dehydrating. So different species of fish actually feed at different levels of the aquarium. So there's three different types. There's bottom feeders, middle feeders, and top feeders. Bottom feeders or bottom dwellers are fish that inhabit the lower level of the aquarium and they feed off the bottom of the aquarium. Their mouth can actually be turned down or what we call underslung, and they may have barbs to help them locate food. Examples of this would actually be the barb species. Middle feeders or middle water fish primarily occupy the middle layer of the aquarium. Typically, they have small mouths that are straightforward because they're eating feed that is straight in front of them. Top feeders usually eat from the surface and they occupy the upper levels of the aquarium. A lot of times their mouths will be turned upward and they will have long, streamlined bodies designed for rapid movement to help them catch any insects. Some fish, like goldfish, really don't show a preference at all. Fish respiration. So how do fish breathe underwater? Well, they use organs called gills to breathe, and they actually draw water through the mouth by constant just opening and closing. And that forces water into the pharynx and then out through the gills. The dissolved oxygen in the water is taken into the blood, and carbon dioxide is released into the water from the gills. So very much like we would breathe in air and then expel air out. It works the same way with fish. Oxygen comes in, carbon dioxide comes out. It's just filtered through water as opposed to the air. A few species of fish will actually come to the surface and gulp air into their mouth. They're actually able to use atmospheric oxygen, and this is because part of their intestines allows for the intake of oxygen. The air is then swallowed into the digestive system and taken into the blood that way as opposed to through the gills. So fish movement, how do they move through the water? And they use these things called fins. They're a movable structure that allows the fish to swim and maintain balance in the water. Most bony fish have rayed fins that consist of webbed skin supported by either bone or cartilage rods called rays. Rays can be sharp, soft, or spiny, and fins are very flexible. So most fish have at least one fin along their back called the dorsal fin, one underside near the tail, which is called the anal fin, and then one tail fin, which is called the caudal fin. Some have a small fleshy fin located between the dorsal and the caudal fin called an adipose fin. Fish also have a pair of fins located behind the head called the pectoral, and the pelvic are located behind them. All right, we will talk about the physiology of amphibians and reptiles in the next video.